No more tush push, changes in playoff seeding, and elimination of automatic first downs on illegal contact. Those are some of the biggest rule changes that have been proposed today, March 19th, 2025, and we're going to walk through every single one. Without further ado, let's get into it. If you guys did not see, the 2025 club proposals were dropped today. Playing rules, bylaws, and resolutions. We're going to walk through every single one, but a couple big summaries right here. Proposed by Detroit, eliminating automatic first downs as a penalty imposed for defensive holding and illegal contact. Detroit, one of the most aggressive man coverage teams in the NFL. Of course, they want that. Green Bay, you can read it. They want to ban the tush push. It's so stupid. And then by the Eagles, basically allowing playoff overtime rules to go into the regular season. So every single playoff game, both teams get a possession. That can now be put into the regular season. Obviously, nothing has been accepted yet. We will keep you posted on that, so make sure you subscribe if you are new. You're not part of the family already. Nothing's been accepted yet. These are just proposals, but there are a ton that I think are going to get accepted. We'll walk through every single one, but I do want to make sure you guys know this is the home of the best NFL content in the offseason. Updates, mock drafts, every schedule breakdown as the summer goes on. So if you're not part of the family, again, make sure to subscribe and leave a like on this video if you enjoy this type of content. We are going to start by looking at page 3. There will be timestamps below for different rule proposals as well. This is the illegal contact one, right? We just talked about it. The Detroit Lions are one of the most aggressive man coverage teams in the NFL. So it makes a lot of sense that they want to have some type of rule that will help them play more aggressive man coverage. Section 4, Article 1 says, within the area 5 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, defensive player may chuck an eligible receiver in front of him. Defenders allowed to maintain continuous and unbroken contact within the 5-yard zone, so long as the receiver has not been moved beyond a point that is within the defender. So, that is essentially, if you guys play college football or are very involved in college football, that's the college football illegal contact rule. It's basically a yard in the NFL now. College is 5 yards. I like that. I think you can be a little physical. I like that. But illegal contact within 5 yards within the 5-yard zone. If the player who receives the snap remains in the pocket area with the ball, a defender may not make initial contact in the back of a receiver, nor may he maintain contact after the receiver has moved beyond a point that is even with the defender. If the defender contacts a receiver within the 5-yard zone, loses contact, and then contacts him again within the 5-yard zone, it is a foul. So basically saying you make contact with somebody, the receiver breaks away, and you go back and make contact, then it's a foul. Article 3, illegal contact beyond the 5-yard zone. If a player who receives the snap remains in the pocket area with the ball, defender cannot initiate contact with the receiver who is attempting to evade him. A defender may use his hands or arms to defend or protect himself against impending contact caused by a receiver. If a defender contacts the receiver in the 5-yard zone and maintains contact with him, he must release the receiver as they exit the 5-yard zone. So nothing dramatic there, just some little tweaks. And then Article 4, this is the big one, right? Beyond the 5-yard zone, incidental contact may exist between the receiver and the defender, right? Penalty for illegal contact. If this happens, it's a 5-yard penalty, but it is not an automatic first down. How many times have you guys seen your favorite team, third down, pin your ears back, go get the quarterback, and it's a sack or it's an incompletion, whatever, maybe throws the ball away, and all of a sudden that little yellow ticker comes on the bottom of the screen, flag. Illegal contact on a 3rd and 20, it's a 5-yard penalty, but it's an automatic first down. The Lions do not want that. That is what they're proposing in this, which honestly, I kind of don't like. I think if you're going to make it a 5-yard penalty, there should be something added on, because at the end of the day, a 3rd and long passing situation is usually going to be more than 5 yards. And if you're making that significant contact to a wide receiver, I think it should be either more than 5 yards or you should get an automatic first down with it, because it's not fair to the offense in that sense, where if you have a play drawn up against man coverage, is going to work against man coverage. If a defender makes illegal contact, he's just getting away with 5 yards to prevent you to get a first down or a big chunk play. It should be more than 5 yards, but in the principle of this whole thing, I don't mind the illegal contact. Here's the illegal cut block stuff, defensive holding. They want to get rid of an automatic first down for defensive holding as well. Defensive holding, and that is everything the Lions want. The effect here, it eliminates an automatic first down as a penalty imposed for defensive holding and illegal contact. Reason, competitive equity. Current penalty enforcement is too punitive for the defense. I get what they're saying. I do. I think it should be more than 5 yards. I think in a perfect world, it's a 10-yard penalty. If offensive holding is 10 yards, why shouldn't defensive holding be 10 yards, right? I think that can be the way they go about it. I do agree. It's really tough to give somebody an automatic first down on one penalty, but it should be more than 5 yards because you're just going to keep getting away with it if that's the case. If it's a 3rd and 20 and a guy beats you on a go ball, you have a single high post safety, and this is a 50-yard play. If you pull him down by the jersey or hold his jersey and it's deemed holding or illegal contact and not PI, it's a little too nice to the defense. I'm sorry. I think it is. I think it could be more yards and not a first down, but I understand where the Lions are coming from. Let's talk these other proposals. Rule 12, Section 1, blocking, use of hands, arms. Article 4, assisting the runner and interlocking interference. So this is, I believe, proposed by the Green Bay Packers. Yep. So this is the no tush push ban, guys. This is what it looks like. No offensive player may pull a runner in any direction anytime, use interlocking interference by grasping a teammate, by using his hands or arms to encircle the body of a teammate in an effort to block an opponent, push or throw his body, here's the tush push, against a teammate to aid him in an attempt to obstruct an opponent or to recover a loose ball, or this is the tush push part. Immediately at the snap, push or throw his body against a teammate who is lined up directly behind the snapper and receive the snap to aid him in an attempt to gain yardage. For assisting the runner, interlocking interference, illegal use of hands, arms, or body, a 10-yard penalty. So the effect, it prohibits an offensive player from pushing a teammate who's lined up directly behind the snapper and receives a snap, immediately at the snap. Player safety, pace of play. Oh, boy. Okay. Pace of play, that's a load of BS. I'm going to be real with you. It's a load of BS. It's a load of BS. Because you can get up to the line at the same speed you can run the tush push at and just QB sneak it and don't have anybody push you. Pace of play is it's a load of BS. It's a load of, Yep. It's a load of post-coffee at 8 a.m. You know what I mean? Like, that pace of play aspect is ridiculous. I understand what Green Bay is saying. Like, you don't want to push people. You don't want to have, like, interlocking arms or legs. That will result in injuries. Like, people can get hurt from that. I'd be fascinated to see the data on it, but I'm going to be real with you guys. This is soft. I said it a month ago, and it was brought to my attention that they would be proposing or they're thinking about it. It's soft. It's soft. It's soft. That's what it is. That's the Green Bay rule proposal. I think it's super soft. Let's keep talking about these other proposals. Amend Rule 16, so amending the playoff overtime rule to the regular season. The score is tied at the end of regulation. Playing time of all regular season and postseason NFL games. A system of modified sudden death overtime shall be in effect pursuant to the following. End of regulation. Referee shall immediately toss a coin at the center of the field. Blah, blah, blah. Following an intermission of no more than 3 minutes at the end of a regular game, an extra period of, this is 15 minutes instead of 10 because it's the playoff overtime rule that's being brought into the regular season, shall commence. Both teams must have the opportunity to possess the ball once during the extra period. And you could see crossed out here, guys, unless the team that receives the opening kickoff scores a touchdown on its initial possession, in which case it's the winner. That's the current regular season overtime rule. But the amended version, teams get the ball at least once each in this overtime period. The team kicking off to start the overtime period scores a safety on the receiving team's initial possession, in which the case the team that kicked off is the winner. Ooh, so here's the interesting part, guys. So this proposal says, in the regular season, let's say the Giants receive the overtime kickoff, 80-yard touchdown in Malik Neighbors' game. But if the Giants receive the kickoff, let's say they're playing the Eagles, the Giants receive the kickoff, and Drew Lock gets sacked in the end zone for a safety. The Eagles don't have to get the ball back. The game is over. The game is over. The game is over. It's over. So an opening touchdown does not mean the game is over. An opening safety by the offense means it's over. B, after each team has had the opportunity to possess the ball, if one team has more points than the opponent, it's the winner. That's game. Makes sense. If the team that possesses the ball first does not score on its initial possession, or if the score is tied after each team has had an opportunity to possess the ball, the next team scoring will be the winner. So, like in that Giants-Eagles scenario, if the Giants got the ball, they punted, the Eagles would kick a field goal and it'd be over if they did that. There shall be a maximum of 15 minutes in overtime, even if the second team has not had an opportunity to possess the ball. So, like, if you hold the ball for 15 minutes, it's over. That's the reality. They're not going to hold the ball 15 minutes, though. The score is tied at the end of the period. Game will be a tie. Each team shall be entitled to 2 timeouts. If there's an excess timeout, the usual rules apply. General provisions for the fourth quarter of the game, including timing, shall apply. So like the 2-minute warning. And then the overtime and postseason, if I'm not mistaken, I'll read through this really quickly. It's just the same. We don't really need to get into this. Yeah, it's the exact same thing here. Postseason overtime rules don't need to really beat a dead horse there. General rules applicable to overtime. If the first team to possess the ball scores a field goal or touchdown, after which the second team loses possession by an interception or fumble, the down will be permitted to run its conclusion. So game and all rules of the game will be enforced as customary, including awarding points scored by either team during the down. Only fouls that require the down to be replayed, fouls that negate a score, or palpably unfair acts, which is like Frankie Louvu jumping over to stop at the tush push, will be enforced. In such situations, if the player who intercepts the pass or recovers the fumble goes to the ground and makes no effort to advance, the covering official will blow his whistle. This is all stuff we already know. This is just talking about the current playoff overtime rules. Here's the bottom line. It aligns the postseason and regular season overtime rules by granting both teams an opportunity to possess the ball regardless of the outcome of the first possession, unless it's a safety, subject to a 15-minute overtime period. In the regular season, competitive equity. I like that. I think that makes sense. I think when you look at the overtime rules, it's better in the playoffs. Like, you never want a team, especially in a high-scoring game, to get screwed out of a potential win because they didn't win a coin toss. I think it's great. I think the equity, I like it a lot. Let's keep talking about this here because there are some more club proposals. These are the bylaw proposal summaries, excuse me. These are not rule changes. These are bylaw proposals, which is crazy. This is the big one, guys. By Constitution, or Article 20, Section 20.2 of the Constitution and bylaws, the Detroit Lions want current playoff seeding format to allow wild card teams to be seeded higher than division champions if the wild card team has a better record. I love this. We're going to talk about this, but another one that Detroit wants, they want to exclude from the 90-player limit a player placed on injured reserve if or before or on the day of the roster reduction. Okay, that makes sense. Basically, they're saying if this guy's on IR, he shouldn't count towards our 90-player limit. I agree with that. So look at this, guys. Look at this. Look at all these crossed out things here. This is the seeding, the playoff pairing parity thing right now. The 4 division champions and 3 wild card clubs, 3 teams with the best records other than the division champions, from each conference will participate in the postseason. I want everybody to look me in the eyes for a second here. This does not diminish division play. If you win your division, you're still in the playoffs. If you win your division, you're still in the playoffs. If you win your division, say it with me, you're still in the playoffs. Okay, now that everybody's got that through their heads, this is how the postseason seeding will work. So, division champion, number 1 overall seed is still the number 1 overall seed. You get your first round bye. Number 2 seed, the playoff participant, and this can be either a division winner or it could be a wild card team. Like the Minnesota Vikings last year, they finished 14-3. If this rule was in effect, they would have been the 2 seed. But because the Lions won their division, the Vikings automatically had to jump down to a wild card spot. The playoff participant with the 2nd best, 3rd best, 4th best, 5th best, 6th best, 7th best. Guys, this is awesome. The NBA did this. I think they changed this like close to 10 years ago. I love this. I can't get enough of this. This needed to happen. It's been so long overdue. Teams that finish the regular season with 14 wins should not be penalized if a team in a bad division wins the bad division by getting a home field advantage in a playoff game. They should not be penalized for that. They should not be penalized for that, guys. They should not be penalized for that. I can't tell you how many times. How do I want to say it again? You guys want me to say it again? They should not be penalized for that, guys. They should not be penalized for that. If you are a good team and you win 11, 12, 13, 14 games, and you're in a really good division, like the NFC North, you should not be penalized for being good in a good division, but somebody being better than you. I am so happy this was brought up. I really, really hope it goes through, but couple notes here. Tie games shall be included in the calculation as half win, half loss. Makes sense. 2 or more division champions finish with the best 1 loss tied percentage at the end of the regular season. Ties will be broken pursuant to Section 20.4. So just like normal playoff tiebreaker seedings. Okay, if two or more playoff participants finish with the same one-loss tie percentage at the end of the regular season, priority shall be given to a team or teams that are their division champions. So here again, guys, here's a perfect example. It doesn't diminish play. So let's say the Lions finish 15-2. The Minnesota Vikings come in second in the NFC North at 14-3. Yeah, 14-3. Let's say the Washington Commanders won the NFC East next year at 14-3. Because the Commanders won the division, even though they had the same record, the Commanders will be ahead of them. This does not diminish division play, guys. Here's the other thing. Look at this. Look at this. I just thought of this. You go look at this club proposal. Read this again. If two or more teams or two or more playoff participants finish with the same one-loss tie percentage at the end of the regular season, priority shall be given to teams that are division champion. Ties that involve division champions with the same one-loss tie percentage shall be broken during the normal tiebreakers. So, guys, if the Minnesota Vikings are 14-3, the Commanders are 14-3, but the Vikings don't win their division, even if the Vikings beat the Commanders in the regular season, the Commanders, because they won their division, are ahead of them. This does not diminish division play. It doesn't, guys. I'm so glad this was brought up again. Let's keep talking. This is submitted by the Detroit Lions because they knew last year home field advantage was huge for them. And if they had lost that Week 18 game to Minnesota, they wouldn't have gotten it. Ultimately, it didn't matter, but they wouldn't have gotten it. Competitive equity provides excitement and competition in late season games. Absolutely rewards the best performing teams from the regular season. Yes, 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 yes. I love it. This is my favorite proposal so far. All right. Cutdowns and player limits. If you guys really want to read into this, you can, but I basically just summed it up. It allows down here, it says it allows clubs to better manage their 90-man rosters late in the season in the event of an unusually high number of players being placed on IR. Again, the Lions had a ton of players on IR. That's why I proposed this. Basically, not counting somebody on IR towards your player limit. You want the most depth you can have. Every team would probably fight for this. I'd be shocked if this didn't go through. Club resolution proposal summary. Ooh, we got a big one here we got Pittsburgh to permit clubs during the 2-day negotiation period to have, video or phone call with the unrestricted free agent and arranging travel. Okay, that makes sense. Baltimore, Cleveland, Houston, Vegas, Minnesota, Philly, and Washington to permit clubs to prepare kicking footballs before game day. Yeah, that should be a no-brainer there. By Washington to permit clubs that may qualify for the postseason to obtain scouting credentials for 2 consecutive games, 17 and 18, played by a potential postseason opponent. Interesting. Also requires clubs hosting wildcard games to provide scouting credentials to all teams within the same conference who are participating. Ooh, that's cool. I like that. I like that from Washington. Okay, so I'm going to just sum this up. We'll scroll down. So this is the Pittsburgh one, right? It allows teams to have, in that 2-day window where legal tampering begins, so it began on March 10th, I believe, this year, to March 12th, it allows teams to have phone calls with these free agents or a video, a Zoom, whatever it may be, instead of just like talking to the agents. Like you can have a meeting with the Steelers or I'm trying to think who the Steelers signed. Darius Slay. Like the Steelers could have had a meeting with Darius Slay in these 2 days instead of like having a middleman with their agent. It also allows clubs to make travel arrangements. So if they want to come in for an in-person meeting, as soon as free agency starts, they can. Like that makes sense. Okay, this is the kicking ball one. Permits clubs to prepare kicking balls in advance of the game. I don't see any issue here as long as there's no tampering with the footballs, Tom Brady. There's no tampering with the footballs there. And then the final one from the Washington Commanders permits clubs that may qualify for the postseason to obtain scouting credentials for 2 consecutive games played by a potential postseason opponent. So, like, let's say, I'm trying to think, who was the first team to clinch the playoffs this year? I don't want to use the Chiefs because nobody likes the Chiefs. Who is the next team? I believe it was the Bills because the Bills won the division. So, like, let's say the Bills clinch their division or clinch a playoff spot in like week 15 or week 16. What Washington is proposing is for the Buffalo Bills and their scouting department to get credentials for week 17 and week 18 to potential playoff opponents. So like they wound up playing the Broncos, getting credentials to go scout the Broncos the final 2 games of their season, which I think is very cool. They also are proposing, and you can see it over here, requiring clubs that are hosting wildcard games to provide scouting credentials to all teams in the same conference who are participating in the postseason. So, like, the Bills hosted a wildcard game, right? They would be required to provide scouting credentials to the Chiefs. the Ravens, the Texans, the Chargers, like all the other teams that are in the playoffs, basically allowing for different teams to almost get ahead of scouting, get ahead of credentials and everything like that, to provide clubs with greater flexibility to scout potential postseason opponents, basically making life a little easier for the scouts, which I am all for. But those are the biggest proposals, the rule changes, and everything in between for this potential change in the 2025 NFL season. If you guys did enjoy this video and made it to the end, make sure you leave a like on this video. There will be plenty more NFL offseason content, including hopefully in a few weeks, a video talking about some of these rules that are making progress, can be taken into effect, or completely get shut down like I really hope the Tush Push does. But I appreciate you guys watching. We will see you next time. God bless.